This video is on trade, output, and living standards, and it covers sections 5 and 6 in Chapter 2. So what we've covered so far is we've talked about the importance of trade, we've talked about the importance of property rights, and legal systems to support those property rights. But obviously, property rights alone doesn't create wealth and prosperity, right? People do. And so what we're going to talk about now are the ways that people do kind of create wealth and increase living standards in countries throughout the world. So, of course, to do that, we go back to my favorite economist, Adam Smith. So in his book, The Wealth of Nations, he had a really key fundamental insight that helped us to understand one aspect of what helps to bring about economic growth. And his insight was pretty simple. His insight was what we call the division of labor. So he even says it right in the beginning of his book. He basically says the wealth of nations is due to the division of labor. So you're probably thinking, okay, what does this mean? What he means is that when we subdivide tasks and we specialize in those tasks, we become better, we become more efficient, and we waste less time switching between tasks, right? So essentially what this means is that when we subdivide production, right, we allow people to specialize and become better at what they do. So this kind of key idea we see all around us, right? If you go into a restaurant, say you go into a burger place, right? The person taking the order, after he takes your order, doesn't, go wash their hands, go back into the kitchen, and then, cook your burger, grill your onions, then cook your French fries, and then, right, put the hamburger together, put the French fries in a little pack, and bring it all out to you. No, the person at the register takes your order. Somebody in the back is flipping the burger. Somebody else is cooking the French fries. Somebody else is putting the buns out on the tray. Somebody else is putting the condiments out there. And then somebody else entirely is bringing it out to your table, right? So if we specialize the production process, each person can be more efficient. And what that means is that we're able to produce more stuff with the resources we have and in a shorter amount of time, right? So this was Adam Smith's key insight in terms of what helps to bring about what he called the wealth of nations. Now, the next key insight actually comes from Adam Smith's probably most famous student, David Ricardo. David Ricardo's story is interesting. He's actually a Portuguese Jew that ends up in Scotland in the 18th century. So it's a little bit odd, but essentially what happened is his family was Jewish. So at one point they were expelled from Portugal. They went to the Netherlands and they wanted little Davy to have the best education possible. And they heard about this guy, Adam Smith, in Scotland, who was really smart and who had all these good students with him. And so they sent little Davy to go study under Adam Smith. And so David Ricardo is basically Smith's most famous student. And he comes up with this idea, and that is the law of comparative advantage. So Smith commented on the fact that, okay, we specialize in different tasks, but David Ricardo helped explain what we specialize in. Right? And his idea is called the law of comparative advantage. And it's the idea that somebody specializes in an activity where they have the lowest opportunity cost. Now that seems a little bit weird. So when you're going off to college and you told your parents, and they asked you what you were going to be, you said, I'm going to go do the thing I have the lowest opportunity cost in. That sounds inspirational. But what that means is really you're going to do the task that requires you to give up the least. Remember, opportunity cost is what you give up. Okay? So you want to do a task that has the lowest opportunity cost, meaning you have to give up the least amount of wealth to do it. So a good idea is a good way to illustrate this is to kind of go through an example. All right, we've got LeBron James and me, Dr. Connors. Now, LeBron James is really good at pretty much everything. And even though I used to play basketball, and my NBA dreams were never realized, LeBron James is probably better at playing basketball than me. That's a pretty easy statement to say. But suppose I'm the guy who mows LeBron's lawn. Right? I've got Dr. Connors' lawn mowing service. Okay. Now, LeBron James is probably even better than mowing a lawn than I am. Okay. So actually, this idea or concept we call absolute advantage. Absolute advantage. That is, LeBron is just better at me. Okay. But even though LeBron is just better at basketball than me and mowing lawns and probably any other thing you can think of, he's probably better than me at it. I will still have a comparative advantage in things. And in this example, I have a comparative advantage in mowing lawns. So let's think about opportunity cost. So if LeBron James mows the lawn, all right, let's think about this. Mowing the lawn, LeBron James. His opportunity cost, we're going to abbreviate with OC, not to be confused with Orange County. LeBron's opportunity cost is really high, right? He could be doing a Nike commercial and making, I don't know, probably $2 million. So his opportunity cost is high. Let's say $2 million. That's a lot of zeros. Right? Now, that's what that means is that if LeBron James mows his lawn, his opportunity cost of doing that is the next best thing he could be doing, that thing he gives up if he decides to mow his lawn. So making a commercial for Nike probably gives up $2 million. LeBron's time is worth a lot. My time, on the other hand, not worth that much, right? So let's look at my opportunity cost, Dr. Connors. Right? My opportunity cost is going to be a lot lower. Again, I'm not cheap, but, maybe if I'm not mowing a lawn, maybe I'm doing some consulting. So maybe I make $2,000. So I give up $2,000 because I decided to mow a lawn and not do some consulting. Although that'd be a pretty high rate of pay if I could get $2,000 an hour. So anyway, that's a bit of an overstatement, right? So who should mow LeBron's lawn? Even though LeBron is better at it than me, he can probably mow it faster. He can make probably the hedges look like cute animals and bears, right? His opportunity cost is much higher than mine. So I should mow his lawn. He should go do the Nike commercial and then pay me the money it takes to mow his lawn, okay? So that's the idea of comparative advantage, right? Absolute advantage doesn't determine what you do and what you produce in society. Comparative advantage does. And comparative advantage means the person who specializes in a task is the person who has the lowest opportunity cost. And that's the idea of comparative advantage. Okay. So that was from David Ricardo, Adam Smith's student. So, right, we've covered at least two of these factors that lead to increased growth, right? We talked about Adam Smith's idea of specialization, the division of labor. We talked about David Ricardo's idea, the law of comparative advantage, right? But in our modern age, we also have mass production methods, right? And this kind of has its origin going back to Henry Ford and the assembly line, right? Henry Ford and the assembly line. Right? So no longer do we have people sitting around, right, making something with just their hands. Right? We have machines that do it, and they can do it much faster and more efficiently and cheaper and so forth, right? And so the last factor is innovation, right? All these mass production methods, all these inventions and so forth are brought about by new innovations that happen every year. They happen all the time, right? And so this is really what creates growth. Yes, we need property rights. Yes, we need a legal system to enforce those property rights. But then this is what people engage in. We specialize, we subdivide labor, we pursue the tasks that are a comparative advantage, we develop mass production methods, right? And we make new inventions and have innovation, right? Which leads to kind of the key most important point here, is that the key of economic growth is really human ingenuity. It's our brains. Human ingenuity. Right? It's the stuff between our ears, right? So once you have property rights and a legal system to enforce those rights, people, through trade and exchange and innovation, create really high living standards, and that's how you kind of get economic growth and wealth creation. But the key point here is that all of this is brought about by human ingenuity, right? Our ability to kind of create all of this stuff, right? And so those are the key factors and key ideas here that are started with Adam Smith and David Ricardo, and we've continued today, and really helps to explain why countries are wealthy and why countries are poor, okay? And that's the end of this video.